Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming miniature video. In today's video, we're going to continue on with our weekly store news update. And in today's update, well, if you've never come to any of these updates, what we do is I touch on a few topics. We touch on like what I have been working on, what I've finished, what kind of new products we got in, what kind of modeling supplies, and then I touch on some news that might be pertaining to you or me, or the store, or the channel, right? So, well, let's get started with what I was working on last week. All right, so here are the foot companions and the high pass bits that I had finished last week. We have 4 foot companion pike units. So like there's one of the units there. There's another unit there. And of course we've got these guys and those guys, and then of course the high pass bits right there. Yeah, so we got those finished, and I told you in the video that as soon as I got those finished, I was going to start work on these vehicles, these Perry miniatures that I had gotten in a while back. And they've been sitting on the shelf waiting for me to complete them. So I went ahead and completed them. They're already posted on my eBay store. So if you're interested in these vehicles, you're welcome to purchase them. This, you know, you got your 250 right here. You know, we've got a M8 armored car right there. Now these are resin models, some metal parts. R35, right? This is actually not resin. When I got it in, I was upset because the labeling said it was supposed to be resin, but it wound up being 3D printed. It still looks like a good model. You know, it's got a lot of detail on it. I'm happy about that. We got the Valentine 2, you know, so if you're into the British, we got that. You'll notice that most of these have got painted in desert colors or what have you, except this one here is a M3 half track. This one is actually Old Glory, West Wind, Berlin or Bust. Also resin, but look at all the detail it has on the underside. You know, I was kind of impressed with that. But yeah, that's the M3. We got an Opel Blitz. You know, with driver in there. And again, remember, these are all posted onto my eBay store. So if you're interested, Panzer III Foxtrot. And a Panzer III Echo. You'll notice the body, I personally notice the body is exactly the same. The turret and everything is the only thing that's a little bit different on these two models. And then finally, there is a 10-4 flak. Get some focus going on here. Yeah, 10-4, there we go. Okay, so that is what I finished. That is not all. Another thing I finished were these 3 base width movement sticks for Meg. Completed those as well. All right. All right, now some supplies that I got in for this, for my modeling hobby. I got some more 3M foam tape. I use the 3M foam tape to attach miniatures to the popsicle sticks. I get the 3/4 inch wide, and then what I'll do is I'll put a strip down, which 3/4 is basically 20 millimeters. And so what I'll do is I'll put a strip down and I'll split it down the middle to make 2 10-millimeter halves. I got a couple of rolls of that because I got some white foam tape in. It was actually very thin foam, and it also is, it just didn't, I just wasn't pleased with the way it felt. It felt like it wasn't holding. It did hold because we did the foot companions with it, but the 3M just feels like it has a better hold. I think I also mentioned that I was getting in some wire. I did get in some wire. Now every one of these wires is 0.6. This is a 0.6 set. Now it's pretty flexible, as you can see, right? But if it was cut down to 45 millimeters for like a pike or something like that, if it was like that, it's not going to be very flexible at all, right? That's pretty sturdy. That's pretty good. So I got some 0.6. This is for making pikes. It's fairly easy to clip and cut. So what I've been thinking about doing, these are 50 centimeters or 500 millimeters long. So I could easily make 10 45 millimeters, and it would leave like 5 millimeters at the end. But that's per rod. The package says 20, so there should be 20 of these in here. And if I did 20 rods, 10 pikes per rod, I should be getting 200 pikes out of this package. So what I was thinking of doing is, because I got these for the store for sale, not for me personally. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down to maybe 50 millimeters, just so nothing's wasted. Well, I guess if I do, 50 should get me 10. So I should be able to get, okay, if I cut it up to, okay, yeah, my math wasn't working right. If I cut it at 45 millimeters, like a pike should be, I should be able to get 11 in here, okay? Because, yeah, my math wasn't right. That's going to leave 50 millimeters remaining, which will give me an 11th. So, but either way, I was thinking I would cut these down and bag them up in bags of 50, maybe 40, 48, or whatever a pike phalanx is supposed to be in Meg, and then package those up in a Ziploc and then sell them on the store as pikes for people that might need them for, their Swiss or their English pikes or their Macedonians or whoever else is, their Spartans or whoever else is using pikes, right? So that's what I was thinking about doing with these guys. Okay, so now the my notes here. I'm trying to make sure that I touch on all my subjects. Let's see if I can move this over here. Um, I added a bunch of Old Glory items to the eBay store. I added some Napoleonic Old Guard, French Old Guard Napoleonics. I added a whole slew of American War of Independence. So if you're interested in British, Hessian, Continentals, infantry, cavalry, artillery, generals, all of that, I put all that on there. I also double checked my World War II items that I had on there from Command Decision, also 15 millimeter. And what's that other section that I did? Oh, and a few ancients. I put enough ancients on there that you could do, well, it's almost all Macedonians, because I realized I had more Macedonian bags than I needed personally, so I just went ahead and took the extra bags and put them back on eBay. There's there's 3 bags of companions. Two of them already include enough pikes to do your entire companion pike units. Each bag comes with about 48 figures approximately. You need, what do you need? 32 figures for a foot companion unit. So you're getting about 150 models if you were to get all 3 of them, which would get you 5 foot companion units, or close to that. But you only really need 4. And then there's a couple of bags of Hypaspits. I've got Balearic Slingers and Cretan Archers. Command, I got a bunch of command bags which have generals and foot command in those bags. Yeah, so you could put together a nice starter force for Macedonia if you're interested in that. Okay, yeah. I also received my my Magna rulebook, right here, Maximus and Magna. This is a beautiful printed book for the Meg rules. It's actually written. Most of the typos that I encountered while making the Meg boot camp are actually not in this, and it seems like it reads a little bit more. It's more clear in this, and it's organized differently. As you know, in the Meg boot camp that I'm doing, it goes chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, all the way up to I'm in the middle of chapter 9, but 9 has sub chapters, 9.1, 9.2. This doesn't do that. This is organized by turn order. So basically, like, the first thing it talks about is setting up the battlefield. Okay, perfect. And then the next thing it talks about the main rules, playing a game. Okay, it talks about the turn in general, which is good. Command and generals, right? Basics of movement, block wheels, formations. So far, this is very similar to the other rules. And then you go to movement, and then charges and charge responses, which is the next thing in a turn. And then combat, how to roll the dice and how to remove casualties and stuff. And then it should go to shooting, right? So it goes over all the shooting rules. Some of the art in the book is different than the art in the compendium edition. Um, the art that's in this book seems to be a little bit more uh, it's more clarified, so it's easier to grasp. Um, some of the art's exactly the same because there was no need to worry about it. Um, and then there's cab tests. Now, if you remember in chapter 9, well, this is just now chapter 9. The other one is 9.6 or something like that before I get to cab tests. But in that chapter, it was cab tests and recovery. You notice there's no and recovery here. End of phase turn. That's when you get recovering wounds, right? So it's part of the same. I mean, they split it up into two different chapters in this one. And then you got flank marches, ambushes. In the other book, it was called flank marches and ambushes, right? Unusual troop types and actions. And then rules changes for Meg and Magna. That was early in the book of the other book. And then it gives characteristics. And then a glossary. And then just nothing really. And then all the charts you need, which I would recommend just downloading the QRS. But my point is, this is laid out a little bit differently than the compendium rules. I think these rules are actually better, laid out better, I should say. I'm actually going to get a bunch of these. I'm going to keep this one, but I'm going to get a bunch of these in for the store. So they're probably going to take 2 weeks before I get them in. So I'm going to order them. They'll be available on the store if you want to play some Meg. Now, this comes in 2 different books, Maximus and Magna, and then there's also a Pacto book. I don't think I'm going to get any Pacto books. I think I'm only going to get Magnus and Magna books. If you're interested in Pacto, let me know and I'll order a couple of those as well. But if I don't get any response about Pacto, then I'm just going to continue on rolling with Maximus and Magna. Plus, you can manually convert to Pacto. Okay, now I've got a couple of pending orders out. I've got one more order coming in today from Plastic Soldier Company. It's going to have some of the, well, it's going to have all the battle group books. I'm going to have a big restock of that. But it's going to have a few of the, what do they call it? Ultracast models, which I'm going to have to do some what's in the boxes on those because I'd like to actually see what kind of quality I can expect out of the Ultracast. Now, I believe they're Ultracasted Zeiston models, and Zeiston has some really good quality, so we'll have to take a look at them. In addition to that, I put in a personal order. That's the store order. I put in a personal order, which I expect to be another couple of weeks from now showing up. But it's their new line of, well, they have a new line of Romans, which are, I believe, 3D printed, professionally 3D printed models. So I ordered a few of those to come in and see what they look like. And if they're any good, I might stock them or put them together for the store. But in addition to the figures, they also have a campsite. So I ordered that campsite. I would like to get it in, and I'd like to get it in before I do the campsite rules for my Meg boot camp. So my Meg boot camp might be pushed back a little bit. My Macedonian campsite that I have from Boeta is actually not Macedonian. It's Spartan. It's got the Spartan It's got a Spartan. It looks like a Tory arch, but it's a Spartan arch. Uh, and I don't really have very many old school tents or huts or anything like that. Almost everything is medieval. So I think I'm going to order some Boetta ancient, like campsite stuff. And we'll get that in and make some campsites as well. But I'm not in a hurry to do that. Once I get the Roman camp in, then I'll do that, and then we'll use it on the table. I can do a campsite right now. I can do a medieval campsite, but I want to do an ancient one. I want to do some ancient campsites. I need ancient campsites for my Germans, my Romans, my Macedonians, etc. So, okay. What else? I also have a Litgo order in, and I'm going to get in a couple of those movement gauges, and I'm going to see if they are worth worth their weight. And if they are, I might order a few more of those and put them on the store for sale. But otherwise, probably not. Um, oh, that's what they're called. They're Cromartie figures. Cromartie. Okay. Now, that's what I've got pending. Now, what I'm working on, uh, if you can see this, I have a couple of skirmish units here. I've got the Rhodian slingers. I have some Balearic slingers. I have the Agrarian javelin men. I have, what did I say? Cretan archers? Yeah. Cretan archers, Rhodian slingers, Balearic slingers, Agrarian javelin men, and then right here I've got some generals like Alexander and a few of his other generals. So I noticed that my Old Glory bags come in 16s, which is unfortunate, right? Because 16, like, let's just use the Rhodian slingers. 16 Rhodian slingers at 2 figures a base makes 8 bases. And in the now that would have been fine in Magna. That's perfect. But in because you only need 6 bases. But in Maximus, you don't need 6 bases. You need 9 bases. So I'll be putting together 8 bases of slingers. And that's one reason why I'm doing the Balearic slingers as well, because pretty much a slinger is a slinger. But the Balearic slingers, I can just crib one of the bases off of that unit and put it with my Rhodian slingers and make a slinger unit from a Macedonian army. So that won't be a problem, because a slinger is pretty much a slinger. So that's going to take the Rhodian slingers, no problem. Okay, the Agrarian javelin men. I think I will crib a base off of my other javelin men, either from the Germans or the Romans, the Republican Romans, right? So, yeah, the Republican Romans, though, they definitely have a unique look where they got wolf skins and stuff like that, so I probably don't want to pull them. But the German javelin men or the Italian javelin men, they look just pretty much just like javelin men, so I'm just going to use them to fill, because they only need that one extra base. And then the last thing is the archers. The Cretan archers, the most I can field is eight bases, because I don't have any other archers to pull from yet. I'm sure I will in the future, but right now I don't. So they're just, now they can be 6 bases. I can go 6 or 9. So I'm going to have to field them as 6-figure bases or 6-figure sugs until I get that one extra base. The generals. Okay, so I had a couple of extra Zeiston officers. Here they are. They're hiding. I had a couple extra Zeiston officers that I'm still working on, as you can see. But I found a couple of unique Macedonian shield decals. And I put one on there, and then this one, just to make these guys stand out as something a little bit different than the units. And I'm going to mount these on with some cavalry figures to make like Alexander. I don't know if I want to put 3 horses on Alexander. I think I do, because that's going to really denote that he's the army general. Then I'm going to take probably 2 horses and or maybe 3 horses as well for the talented general, maybe, and then a general, a mounted general, and a foot general. 2 figures, one mount and one on foot, to denote the competent generals, and that'll be the total of 4 generals because that's how many I need. Okay. All right, now the news that I've been really focusing on these last months is the Old Glory website. Old Glory website is still down. It's not going to come back until the 22nd, if it comes back. And I think I described why in the last video, because of the photos and things like that. But what I did do was yesterday, or maybe it was the day before yesterday, I went ahead and sent the message saying that I wanted to go ahead and receive the PDF order form. Well, I got the PDF order form, and I'm noticing that it's not complete, right? Because there are some bags that I personally have that are not on that order form. Some of them that I'm trying to sell. Like the foot companions, right? Because they're sold as a Field of Glory battle group, right? And the code is IFBG, so it's like Immortal Fire. That's the book that army comes out of. So it's Immortal Fire battle group number whatever, 100, and I think it is 100. Or 97 for the Thessalians, and 99 for the Hypaspits, and then 100 for the Foot Companions. But that's no problem. I just know that each of those bags has about 48 models in it, which is close to 50 models. So I just priced it similarly to other bags that have 50 models in it. And then I actually have 2 bags with the pikes and 1 bag without the pikes. So, and that was just a mistake because I think all the bags are supposed to have the pikes. I actually got 2 bags a while back that had no pikes in it, and then 2 bags with the pikes. No big deal. I like I said, I got my own wire. I can make my own pikes, but I know they're supposed to be in there. But so I decided, because I'm going to sell one of the bags without pikes, I figured I'd knock a few dollars off of that. So you can pick those up. Other than that, there's YouTube changes. I've actually gotten into my channel and started making changes where the videos are showing up and my backdrop and stuff like that. So tell me what you think about the changes to the channel, the YouTube channel. And I should have these done by tomorrow, I do believe. These are the only colors I have left to do. This is off topic. This is the last thing I'm going to say. When I get ready to paint a model, or a set of models, I will go through my paints and I will pull out all the paints that I'm going to need. I'll pull out the flesh, pull out the bronze and the steel and leather and wood, and then I'll pull out the pink and the purples and the reds and the blues and light grays. Actually, I think that's blue gray or something. Pale blue, right? So I'll pull all these colors out and I will paint them. And then as I am finished, oh yeah, and red, brown for the horse. But as I paint, I'll put the colors away, knowing that I've finished that color or whatever. And I'll usually have like a row of paints all the way across here showing you all the different colors that need to go on those models. And then as I put the paints away, it gives me motivation because it kind of shows my progress, like a progress bar. When you're installing a program, you've got 0% to 100%, and I'm over 50%, that kind of deal. It's just feel good. And you'll see these guys, they all look very pale, almost white. And you can see the primer color. I primed dark brown or camouflage brown from Krylon. And then I went in and I dry brushed with the white over the entire model. So there's still dark areas, but that dry brushing of the white really makes the details, like the scales and the tassets and the fingers and the hair and the face and any kind of straps or buckles or buttons, it all kind of stands out with the dry brush of white. And then when I go into paint, I can pick and choose those parts a lot easier, especially on a 15 millimeter model. It really helps out quite a bit. But it also, because these are Macedonians, if they were Romans, I probably wouldn't have done that. Or if they're in full plate armor, I definitely wouldn't have done that. But because they are Macedonians and their armor colors are usually bright colors, like purples and blues and yellows and stuff like that, I figured that the white dry brush would make it more vibrant for those colors. But because I'm not even, but because I'm at 50% production, they look like ghosts. I see all this white over here and I'm like, oh man, that's a good undead army. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out and checking out this news update, and I will see you next week.